And in this case, it's a south node eclipse. Because remember, the nodes of the moon are where they're not actually celestial bodies. They're places in space where the ecliptic of the Earth, right, the orbit of the Earth going around the sun, crosses over where the orbit of the moon around the Earth, right? And so they cross over. And so that's when the moon goes between the Earth and the sun. And that's why we get a shadow of the moon on the Earth, which is what an eclipse is. So for this eclipse, this is going to be a south node eclipse. And then we have another eclipse in 2 weeks, which will be a lunar eclipse, which is where we get the Earth coming between the sun and the moon. And so the moon darkens because it has the shadow of the Earth on it. So that'll be happening in another couple of weeks because the eclipses always come in pairs. We always have a solar eclipse and a lunar eclipse and we have both the south node and the north node. So that's kind of how all of that works. So the solar eclipse is happening in the gate 4. The gate 4 is right up here. It's at the beginning of the logic circuit or the pattern circuit. And it's known as answers in traditional human design or possibilities in quantum human design. And that really shows us kind of the range of what's possible with this gate. And so remember that the mate of the 4 is the gate 63, and the gate 63 is known as doubt in traditional human design or curiosity. And so the two different names carry over similar qualities, right? And so doubt and answers, right, tend to be contracting. They tend to be like, I need answers, or I demand answers, or I have answers. We need answers, right? Answers tend to want to codify something. It's kind of contracting. We want to know the answer. Where inquiry is more open, right? We're looking at possibilities. I don't know. I'm curious, right? I'm not in a state of doubt where I need answers. I'm in a state of curiosity where, the world is my oyster. The cosmos is my oyster. So many things are possible. So this is something for you to really look at for yourself during this eclipse. Do you tend to live in a state of possibility, or do you tend to live in a state where you really want answers and you won't be satisfied until you have an answer? Because that tends to be kind of the negative expression of that left brain energy. But let's remember that, inquiry, the scientific method, which lives in the logic circuit, begins with curiosity, right? It begins with possibility. It doesn't begin with answers. We don't know the answers at the beginning. All we know is that we're curious about something and we want to investigate it and we want to work on it and we might want to experiment with it. We might have a hypothesis and then we're going to experiment. We're going to see, was our hypothesis true or not? And then we may change it, right? But we're not necessarily looking for answers so quickly. So I would really encourage you to expand during this time, because after all, we're in Leo season, and oh my goodness, we've got a whole pileup of different planets that are happening in activations that are happening in Leo as well. And so the whole quality of this time of year, certainly in the northern hemisphere, is very expansive, right? We're at the height of summer in a lot of ways. And Leo is a very expansive energy in general. Leo is very regal. Leo is creative. Leo has a lot of confidence. Leo is, the life of the party, right? And so we want to be able to be expansive there rather than channeling all that really powerful kind of sovereign energy into something that is too contracting. And if we expand our view out a little bit from where the sun and the moon are, we'll see like that south node that I mentioned, right? Which is right next to the sun and the moon on the mandala. And I'll show you a picture of that in a minute, right? Is in the gate 29, which is in the sensing circuit. And it's part of one of those channels that we just had. You can see here that those channels are no longer going because they were only available for about 5 or 6 days because those other planets have moved on. But still, that 29 was part of that one channel that we just had. Then we also have Mercury in the 31, and we have Jupiter in the 33, and those are all in Leo as well. A stellium is what they call it in astrology because you get a little pileup of planets or activations that are all happening in a one sign, and they're close to each other. And so we've got a lot of strong Leo energy. And so I really invite you to step into the sovereign energy of Leo, to really say, okay, how can I have more command of my life? How can I have more command of my inner landscape, which is what the first four pillars of feminine sovereignty are about, is really about gaining command on the inner landscape, right? And then how do we move through the world as sovereign beings and recognize other people as sovereign beings, which is what the second four pillars, pillars 5 through 8 of feminine sovereignty are about, is how do we communicate? How do we contribute? How do we collaborate? How do we show up as stewards in the world today as sovereign beings? And this is a wonderful time to do it because we're in Leo season. We've got a solar eclipse that's happening. We just are having Lionsgate that's happening. And we also have all of the support from Mercury and from Jupiter as well. And so what are you speaking about, right? How are you speaking as a sovereign being? How can you be communicating and being creative as a sovereign being? What does that really mean for you? I think this is something that we talk about a lot in our Sovereign Sisterhood, is what does sovereignty mean for each of us? How do we express it? How do we explore it? How do we grow it more in ourselves? How do we remember that we're actually really, star beings who are always sovereign, but we're having this human experience that makes us feel like we're limited beings when we're actually really not. We're very, very much unlimited beings the more that we are able to tap into who we are as energetic beings. We start to live more and more as our higher selves. And in this image, it shows you where the mandala is right now. And you can see it's just showing you Leo. And then I also named all of the gates that are in Leo. The 56 straddles Cancer and Leo. So it's one of those ones that has both of those astrological signs as part of it. But then the rest of the ones that are listed here are all in Leo. So you might want to look at your own human design chart and see which of these are defined in your chart and which are open, and to see how that works for you. And just, explore for yourself, how are you actually expressing them? Right? And are you expressing them in a way that makes you feel good, that makes you feel confident, that gives you that regal quality? You feel like, you can go out and create in your life the way that you want to? Or are you experiencing them in a way where you feel a little disempowered by it? Like, I don't really like that energy, or I don't have access to that energy. And this happens for people around Leo energy because sometimes it's like it feels really big and it feels beyond you. Right? It's like, I don't know. Like my dad was a Leo, right? I spent a lot of time in my life while I was growing up being like, I don't know, my dad is so big, right? I don't know if I want to be like that. But we all have our inner confidence. We all have our inner Leo. We all have our inner lion, right? And so why not let that part of you come out? And, it's also playful, right? It's fun. It's kind of like a party time, right? And it doesn't mean that you have to go into the excess that Jupiter could be bringing, right? Too much partying, too much drinking, too much, right? Staying up late or whatever, right? It doesn't have to go into the too much, but to also just kind of let yourself let loose and realize that you are actually sovereign in your heart of hearts, right? And when you live in a realm of possibility, then more and more things will come to you that will support you to live as that true regal being that you really are. If you are curious about how the human design transits actually work, and you'd like to empower yourself to identify the opportunities and avoid the pitfalls, I encourage you to check out my new Master the Neutrinos stream, Understanding the Human Design Transits Self-Study course. This course has been long requested, and I'm happy to be able to offer it to you now. And it'll begin your journey of being able to really know what's going on with the transits, what it means for you, how to take advantage of the different new definitions that's coming your way, and also how to navigate what's going on with everyone around you because you understand the influences that are happening for every one of us. So this is a brand new program. I highly encourage you to go check it out. It is on sale for 50% off for unlimited.